It was just supposed to be a weekend road trip, nothing fancy, just to get away from the city noise. Josh and Rachel, tired but excited, drove through the winding back roads of a countryside they didn't know well. They had forgotten to check the gas tank in their hurry to leave, and the needle was now dipping dangerously low. "Relax," Josh said, glancing at Rachel, though his knuckles tightened around the steering wheel. "We'll find a gas station soon." But the road stretched on, empty and dark, with only their headlights cutting through the thick black of the night. No street lights, no houses, no signs of life, just an oppressive silence that felt heavier with each mile. Then, the car sputtered. Josh groaned as the vehicle coasted to a stop. They were out of gas. Rachel sighed, pulling her jacket tighter. "Well, what now?" Josh checked his phone. No signal. Rachel's was the same. They sat there for a moment, listening to the soft tick of the cooling engine and the faint rustle of leaves in the night breeze. "I saw a light back that way," Josh finally said, pointing down the road behind them. "I'll check it out. You stay here." "Like hell, I'm staying alone," Rachel shot back, grabbing the flashlight from the glove compartment. Together, they walked down the narrow road, the flashlight beam cutting a shaky path through the dark. The trees on either side felt unnaturally tall, their branches like skeletal arms reaching for the road. Every crunch of gravel beneath their feet seemed deafening. They walked for what felt like forever before spotting a faint glow in the distance. As they got closer, they realized it wasn't a house or a gas station. It was an old wooden sign, hanging crookedly from a post. "Willow's End Cemetery." Josh laughed nervously. "Well, not exactly what I was hoping for." "Let's just keep going," Rachel said, pulling him along. But as they stepped past the cemetery gate, the flashlight flickered and died. Rachel smacked it against her palm, but it was no use. The moonlight was weak, casting long, twisting shadows that made the headstones look like jagged teeth. Then came the sound. A faint humming, high-pitched and uneven, like someone was singing a lullaby just out of earshot. "Do you hear that?" Rachel whispered, clutching Josh's arm. "Yeah," he replied, his voice shaky. "Let's go back to the car." They turned around, but the path they had just walked was gone. Instead, the cemetery stretched endlessly behind them, rows of headstones that hadn't been there before. "Josh," Rachel whimpered, her grip tightening. "Stay close," he said, though his own voice cracked. The humming grew louder, and with it came whispers, soft and indistinct, but chilling in their urgency. The couple stumbled forward, tripping over uneven ground. Rachel turned her head at a flicker of movement and froze. A figure stood behind a headstone, a woman in a tattered dress, her face obscured by long, stringy hair. She tilted her head unnaturally, as though examining them. "Run," Josh hissed, grabbing Rachel's hand. They sprinted, the whispers rising into a cacophony of voices. The cemetery seemed alive now, headstones shifting and trees bending as if to block their way. Josh tripped and Rachel yanked him up, the both of them gasping for air as the humming returned, louder and closer. They didn't see the car until they were practically on top of it. Somehow, impossibly, they were back at their vehicle. Josh fumbled with the door handle, throwing himself into the driver's seat. Rachel jumped in beside him, locking the doors. "Try it," she begged, though they both knew it was pointless. Josh turned the key. The car roared to life. Relief flooded them until the headlights illuminated the road ahead. The woman stood in front of the car, her face now visible. It was wrong. Her eyes were black pits, her mouth stretched too wide, and her skin was cracked like old porcelain. She raised one hand and pointed directly at them. Rachel screamed. Josh slammed the gas pedal, but the car didn't move. The engine revved, tires spinning uselessly, as if something held the car in place. The woman's mouth opened wider, an impossible black void. And the last thing they heard was a piercing scream. That didn't come from either of them. When the car was found the next morning, it was empty, doors hanging open. No sign of Josh or Rachel, just the faint hum of a lullaby in the air.